Akademiks can't ride no wave.
Can't touch that money. His fans will spend hundreds of dollars on a ticket. They won't spend $1 on his music. That is where the music industry is. And they're not too happy about it. They're trying to figure out what to do with AI currently. They're trying to figure out, what's the next step? What should they do? Should they, embrace it? Should they not? Should they? They don't know. They don't know. What ends up happening is that the newest thing that the music industry is doing is that they said, you know what? We want to focus on super fans. It's the idea of why we created the chat niggas. Because, a fringe supporter who catches a stream every once in a while versus a nigga who watches all the time, you want to cater to the guy who watches all the time. The guy who, if we say, hey, we about to cut the stream, go to Kick, they're like, all right, bet, I'm on Kick too. Why do you want to cater to a super fan? And by the way, this is not a music industry type of thing. This is a created thing. Not to trip up on words there. But creators came up with this philosophy. This is why Patreon came into the mix. Look at Joe Budden. Joe Budden, pretty prolific podcast. He has a huge set of audience. Everybody was saying, hey, we went over here, got this amount of money. We went over here, got this amount of money. Joe dug in and said, we're going to focus on our super fans. Worked it for a couple of years. He pops up. He says, I'm making $20 million a year. Off the super fans. That's what it is. So the music industry is now taking that model on. They're like, all right, fuck it. If we can't get the average fan to pay for a song or a CD, let's get the super fans. Let's incentivize them with merch. Now, they've been kind of doing that with merch, but now, remember I told you, they partner with this company. It's called Even. It's the direct to fan platform. Well, isn't that interesting? The labels themselves, and you see the Universal logo here, they're basically saying, we need to get away the middleman. Because the industry's always had middleman. They didn't know how the audience got to them. They just control the content. Whether they were serving the music to Best Buy, whether they were serving it to FYE, whether they were serving it to Target, whether they were serving it to any of these like third party or even radio, whether they're serving to Spotify, they would give it to somebody else and tell that somebody else, you bring us the money. But the music industry, after realizing it's stagnating in growth, it's now invested in something where the fans could come to the music industry directly. Oh, you really like J. Cole? Well, buy the leather from his fucking Honda Civic. Or actually, it's not no leather up in there. It's cloth seats. Buy the cloth off the back seat of J. Cole's Honda on this website and get some of his album too. So it appears that the money-hungry labels have now switched their focus. They're realizing Spotify and Apple can't give them the increase in money they want. They now want to, not attack, but they want to start focusing on super fans. They're moving like a YouTuber. Isn't that interesting? Well, an interesting interview came out recently, which is a former Spotify executive who did an interview. And apparently this interview is like a month old. I think this is it.
Yeah, okay.
But it's really important for what we talk about here. Not only is it a cross-section in between kind of letting us know what's going on in the business, but also on the front we care about, which is the artist world. It kind of tell you where we are today, okay? I'm going to try to skip to some of this interesting stuff. And let's see. I'm going to try to be quick with this. I'm about to salute to the guy who actually did this interview. I appreciate you. I'll go to 110 speed. Let's go through this a little bit.
Change, like artist development, got handed over to the managers because the managers were the ones that had to stay with the artists every single week after they didn't get New Music Friday, or they didn't get the playlist. It was the manager's responsibility to be able to develop the artist, whereas the label, the A&R strategy started to change from, I'm going to try to, sign one Lady Gaga.
Now, I wanna make sure you're taking this all in, and I know again we have a lot of topics to get to, so I would really want to watch like an hour of this with y'all, but I don't want to slow up the pace too much. What he's talking about, how the label is disintegrated, like what a label is today, they're a bank. I seen this very interesting DM. Someone said, I love when you start kicking industry label games. But you've always said one thing, and I wonder what do you mean by that? What is it? What is that? And it's this idea I've always said. I said, listen, I'm honest about my shit. Like, I don't know about these other niggas. Like, hey, call me biased, call me whatever. I'm going to tell you what it is up front. I've always said I rob the labels, straight up. And people said, so the guy said to me, what does that mean? Now, obviously, I'm not like stealing money. Like, that's not what I'm doing. But the idea is this. What a label is in 2025, 2026, they are a bank. They have a shit ton of money, millions and billions of dollars, but they have no way how to make things happen. So when I say I rob them, I'm not being big-headed, but I'm the sauce. They come to me like this. How do we get this on your platform? How do we get this artist to be in this conversation? They don't know nothing. They're the bank. All they got is money. So I kick game to y'all for free. When I'm dealing with them, they need to pay me very handsomely. And that's what I mean robbery. Because if you are a bunch of white dudes who don't got the sauce and you need the sauce, pay for the sauce. That's it. So I call that robbery, because what I do, the knowledge I have and the resources I have, I consider that's like free. But because you're not that, you gotta have to pay for it, every single thing. And that's why I call robbery, because if they had it, they wouldn't ever come to me. So again, what labels are to me in 2025 is that they're completely a bank. The top A&R, there's a few great A&Rs in the building, but most of them don't know what's hot music. They wait till it pops up on TikTok, or they watch streams like this and be like, what are the people who watch Act Stream into? They'll go on my page. They'll go on Say Cheese. They'll be like, hey, what does Rakai listen to? Yes, that's how they find their artists these days. So what does that tell you? They're looking to tastemakers and influencers and voices to actually tell them how to spend their money. Well, once you know that, you don't got a couple things that you could suggest that they should dump their money into? Here's the thing. I'm a little bit different. When it comes to me, I have a proven track record. They've seen me, which wasn't any type of marketing. It was just like pure, I'm moving off my own, however I do my thing. But a guy who gets zero marketing, and you could see the budget, zero marketing, becomes a top 5 rapper in a span of a year. His name is Tekashi 6ix9ine. They look at me like I'm the fucking golden guy. Like I'm like, I got a Midas touch. So of course after that they got to pay for it. I'm sorry. Like, you know how many times they're like, yo, Ak, you want to go on vacation with an artist? No, but why are you asking me that? Nah, man, he fucks with you. Really? Okay. Nah, y'all should just chill. Okay. All right. We'll pay for it all. Well, how about we do a documentary? We could do a documentary or something like that. That's the truth about the music industry. But what's even more the just flat out truth is this. Labels lost their sauce. Back in the day, everything was so in-house, right? You'd get an artist, and because the labels were seen as so much of the savants and the professionals, when they created an artist, it was their jobs to groom the artist, and not in the weird way. Just like, get the artist from a uncultured or unprofessional, maybe street dude or a person who's never been in this industry to a savvy person who knows how to deal with interviews, who knows how to carry themselves, who knows how to do all the things to further the bag. So the label will keep putting marketing dollars, do this behind the scenes, but you needed to develop as a person and as a businessman to not fuck up the bag. That was what was called artists What's the fucking word? You just said it. What's the shit
to
called?
change where they didn't get the playlist. It was the manager's responsibility to be able to develop the artist.
Oh, artist development. Yeah, that's so antiquated, but whether it's a Lil Wayne or whoever, you know, that's what it is. By the way, in basketball, they do it too. Ask around. Anytime there's a draft class that comes in, especially for the NBA, the first week of camp is not basketball. They get taught how to be professionals. Hey, you're representing a brand. This is what you can't do. You can't go out there and get caught driving drunk. It's going to be a reflection on us. You will get suspended too. You can't be beating on your girl. You can't be doing this. You can't be doing that. Hey, at any time, they tell this to rookies in professional sports. If you're ever drunk, you're somewhere, it's okay. We'll turn a blind eye to it. Just call this number. Someone will pick you up. You cannot get caught with a DUI. It looks bad upon you and the league. Hey, if you're in this pickle, you and your girl start arguing, call this one person. They'll get you out of there. Do not argue with your girl. Do not put your hands on. We want to avoid anything with police. These things are developmental processes for people who are now in high profile, high status occupations, whether you are a rapper or basketball players. It's only significant that there's something else that has millions of dollars invested in your brand, and how you end up treating that brand could make them look bad, or even worse, make them lose money. So they do it for sports, but artist development when it comes to music was very necessary because you don't want somebody fucking up the bag. If artist development existed, when the baby went on stage and said, man, who wasn't sucking no dick in the parking lot? Put your hands up. Hey, who got that HIV? Yo, put your hands up. If artist development existed, they would have sat him down the first couple of months of him being signed, and they would say, hey, listen, we know you're a little bit provocative on stage. We know you're entertaining on social media, but could you do us a favor? Let's show you a few videos. Let's have these talks with you. Don't talk about homosexuals. You rap about girls. Okay, so, hey, we'd rather you not call women bitches, but we get it. You're in hip hop. Just keep it to the women. Leave the homosexuals alone. Oh, wait. Whoa. Don't talk. Their job was to usually scout talent, figure out talent, help sign talent, develop talent, help craft, do almost like a quality control of music, help provide beats, a lot of things. They were this really fluid helping person. These days, an A&R wouldn't go to a random showcase in, I don't know, Bogota, New Jersey to go listen to a showcase of some up and coming talent. They're going to wait till TikTok got this shit trending. Oh, my niece did a dance to that. Oh, this shit got me popping. Let me just DM them. That's their job. It's like the police nowadays. They're not like, with like a micro, like one of them magnifiers, like looking for bullets or whatever. They just go on YouTube or Instagram. Look at your Instagram story. Be like, okay, you did the shoot. Nigga, you're posing with the same fucking gun that did the shots like 2 hours before and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we clicked on two other people's story. They got the whole thing. All right, we're arresting you. No more on the ground activity. And that's what music has gotten to. South by Southwest used to be a thing. If you wanted to discover new talent, you got to go there because new talented people would go there. These days, new talented people need to open up TikTok. Make up a dance. That's it. That's it. So, A&Rs these days, for the most part, they just utilize algorithms and reports to come up with who's hot. There's no more eye tests to say, yo, there's something about this kid. If you don't have a following, you have no chance. There was back in the day that supposedly if you were really talented, but you were just not put out there yet, if you met the right person who believed in you, you could go. These days, nigga, you can't get 50,000 followers on the gram, you a waste man. Nigga, you don't got one song viral? You ass. Basically, a really good, talented artist, if you don't know how to work social media, you're fucked. Who gonna find you? You're fucked. So that's what I'm saying. Now, I know I went on this little detour, but the detour is to show this is the breakdown of the music industry. The music industry came in as this, it was the a la carte offering to an artist. Whatever you needed, they had. You need PR, they got it. You need lawyers, say you're getting some legals, they got it. You need anything you need, they got. That's what it was basically you signed to a label and your problems are just fixed. Just go make the music. And if you weren't that talented, they get people to help make you the music. They'll go get the best producer, they'll bring you the beat, they'll do everything. It was easy. But over time, those things stopped working. Artists became more independent. They're not going into their labels. Labels or artists from other regions started to pop off. They didn't need to go to New York. So how could the label influence the artist? So they, at some point when they started, the business model is changing, they started to drop certain things. Okay, fuck artist development. We're going with this. It gets to the point where they're like, oh, we know how to promote music. All right, let's send $250,000 to Hot 97. Yo, let's send it to our radio promotion guys. Get all them DJs paid off that we could get our shit popping. All right, yo, our song's getting played on Hot 97 like it's going out of style. I bet. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I bet. Yeah, okay, good. The labels at a point could control everything. Hey, yo, we need to get this person on Time Magazine. Yo, could you cut that check? It's $300,000. $300,000. It became to a point where all the things they would do to promote an artist that they already had the checkbook lined up like this to kind of do, it became obsolete. It didn't matter anymore. Who cares? Who cares? So what would they do? Their options for their old methods not working was finding these outsourced people who knew the new methods. Hey, yo, we just wasted $1 million on a radio budget, but nobody listens to fucking Ebro in the fucking morning. Like, surprise, like, hey, we just wasted $1 million on promo on Ebro in the fucking morning, but they're telling us that only 35 people heard it. What? Oh, there's this new dude up there. His name is Miro. Even less people watching that dude. Okay. Where are the people at? They would go to outsourced people and they would say, oh shit, they're on streams. No, they're on TikTok. So like, how do we reach them? Well, if you give us that 200,000, we'll get the creators to make a dance up around your corny song. But it'll work. Look, TikTok is the thing that's driving every popular song. Wait, what? So the old heads at the label said, all right, fuck it. We're just going to give our marketing budget to these outsourced people. Some of the outsourced people were like, yo, these dudes are like fish out of water. And the song is whack. You know what? Thank you for your $100,000 budget. We're just going to spend 15 grand and bought your shit. So now we keep 85. We botted your shit. Good luck. Well, you're like, oh my God, the reports came back. It says that our streams are up 300%. Hey, we did that. Not knowing, bought it. So the labels have lost all type of concept of real promotion. They don't know how to develop artists. They can't promote. They can't make the record. That's an artist. What the fuck are they doing? And that's where we're at now. They're just a bank. So you got to go to them and you got to tell them, hey, I'm going to make the greatest shit in the world. Give me every dollar you got in here. You back up the Brinks truck. You tell them to load it in by the heaps. You take it and you go elsewhere. That's what Drake does. Drake don't talk to the fucking label. Hey, give me 600 mil or else. When he got his 400, he say, I'm going to catch y'all niggas. without giving up my source, heard this interesting thing about Drake's previous release in like Spotify. They said Drake will pop up on a Thursday. So Spotify usually has this thing they tell the artist, hey, listen, we have Rap Caviar and we want to give you guys a chance to, get on our list. And when you're on our list, it could be millions of streams and people could really get into y'all. But of course, certain artists don't really need it. Like when Drake drops, who gives a fuck? Everybody's going to go watch it, right? Or listen. It said Drake, because this was the question I said. I said, why does Drake not do what Taylor Swift does? Because I've been really upset like at some of Drake's releases. I'm like, why doesn't he have like 50 vinyls? Like he could be doing millions of sales like how Taylor finesses. Like, why doesn't he finesse? Travis Scott finesses. Why doesn't Drake finesse? And they said, well, first of all, Drake's music is one of the biggest leaked things in the culture. He really hates it. And so second of all, this is how Drake deals with his label in Spotify. So Spotify usually tells the artist, yo, pop up, come schedule a meeting with us, come into our office and play our editors. Same with Apple. They do the rounds like, hey, imagine you playing some new rage shit for Ebro at Apple Music. But you got to go do the song and dance if you want to get like their covers and preferred A-list, whatever. They said what Drake does. The music dropping on Friday. Drake show up Thursday at noon, tells his label, hey, I'm turning in the album tonight. Make sure that shit's up on Friday at midnight, which is give them about like 8 hours. That's all they need. Fuck out of here. Drake ain't showing up to his label and dancing around on the table like Bobby Shmurda. Fuck out of here. Hey, yo, check y'all email in 30 minutes. Make sure it's up at midnight. Peace. So the label then gets the album with like 5 hours to go. They got to send it over to Spotify. And then they both got to do, which is a lot of due diligence. That's why Drake album be late sometime. Remember the one that came out at 3? Because the label can't, Drake music makes so much money, you can't afford to put out his music with a unclear sample. You're basically just giving somebody else millions of dollars. So you got to clear the samples before, right? Because the leverage someone has when you put out music that's not cleared versus when you clear it before, way different. So in 4 hours, they got to clear every sample. Okay, 4 hours. Like you might give them 12, but he's not turning his album in 2 weeks. So why do I say that? Even Drake treats the label like a bank and TuneCore. Hey, just press upload, fuck niggas. We don't need you to do nothing else, and give me my motherfucking money. That's it. Press upload, you stupid fucks, and give me my motherfucking money. Nothing else. We don't need your. We don't need motherfucking the nigga at Republic saying, oh no, this is kind of hot, Aubrey. Fuck out of here. Just press upload, fuck nigga, and back up the $400 million in my bank account. That's it. I'm only saying this to remind y'all that labels in 2026 are banks. That's it. They have zero. The only ones, which is, it's like micro labels that are in bigger labels. APG will give you the song and the hook. Like, remember APG signed all the people with like 50 million followers? Then none of them had music talent. So what they did was they got niggas like Hitmaker and everybody else. They created a folder of hits that people could just sing over on some, Milli Vanilli shit. And then, yeah, it kind of worked out for them. But most labels, no artist is going to listen to them for musical advice anyway. They just say, give me the fucking money. That's it. And wait till I turn into music. That's it. So what is a label now? Anyway.
Whereas the label, the A&R strategy started to change from, I'm going to try to, sign one Lady Gaga, and I'm going to spend, 2-3 years developing her. And I'm going to sell 1 million copies of this one master, and everybody's going to be happy because we know how to split up the money into, I'm getting paid off of a market share. Mm-hmm. And now I need to sign, 10 Lady Gaga lookalikes who are all going to release 10 songs. And on the aggregate, we're going to have as many streams, and the revenue from that is going to equal what I used to get from album sales.
Right.
And we're still living in that world.
Okay, let me skip a little bit further past that. And this is the interesting part here too.
Which just started as a catalog tool, right? Because they have more confidence because they have more data in the older stuff versus like new music, you don't have, it requires, an element of anticipation, which was what the human editorial team was really good at, right? Like we were looking at culture so we could see what was coming and we were, actioning on that. We were anticipating that Billie Eilish was going to be Billie Eilish. We were anticipating that Post Malone was going to be Post Malone. And the algorithms can't really do that yet. A really, like one of my favorite like Spotify stories is the guy who originally curated Rap Caviar, who's at YouTube now, Tuma Basa. Like literally one of the most brilliant people you're ever gonna meet in your life, and
culture.
Oh,
culture. He was on the pod. He was. Yeah.
He's like literally one of my favorite people that has ever existed.
Always been solid, great, but just a level of intelligence that's just unmatched. Especially so the culture.
Tuma's a good guy. I spoke to him before. Good guy.
Of the music. Just music is in his DNA. It's in his bloodstream.
Yeah, he breathes it, and he's such a thoughtful person. I was very privileged to work with those people that, at both of those companies, smartest people in the world. Like he was one of the people that I have like such a strong admiration for.
Let's get to it.
The new music and how, human curation is still important. We're seeing it in, college radio coming back and things like that. But Tuma, I was always known in the industry as like the data guy.
Yes.
Everybody was like, Begain's got data. He's going to go crunch his KPIs and things like that. And there was a night that I was curating New Music Friday at this point. We were in the 18th Street office in New York City, and it was like 2 a.m. And like I'm like just tired, like because I've been doing meetings all day and like I'm getting all this flood of like music I got to listen to, and I'm still like, taking it super serious. So
this is a guy that was curating New Music Friday. Starting to make sense.
Want to make sure that everything that's getting programmed is like the right thing, and I'm frustrated. And I'm sitting next to me, and Tuma's here, and we used to have these like exercise balls, the big ones that you kind of like sit on. And he's just like rocking back and forth, like looking at his cell phone, and I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? It's 2 a.m. Like, go the fuck home. And he's like, I'm doing exactly what you're doing. I'm like, what? And I look. And this is, again, it's 2016.
All right, let's
hear a little bit. So, and I want you to talk about it, but one thing that you showed me, and it was pretty telling, it was, the Lucian Grange memo that came out, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And it's basically his take on the world of AI. And there's one thing here that he says where, and I'm just going to read it, and he says, how our artists can participate. Based on what we've done with our AI partners to date and the new discussions that are underway, we can unequivocally say that AI has the potential to deliver creative tools that will enable us to connect our artists with their fans in new ways and with advanced capability on scale we've never encountered. What is he talking about?
That memo, which we both read in Music Business Worldwide, and we didn't get it in any other unethical ways.
No. I read it in Billboard Pro.
Yeah, exactly.
I read it in Billboard. Yeah. Not in unethical ways.
I love, reading those things because, being like,
damn dog, get to it, bro.
Spotify that we were allowed to talk to was the salespeople meant we couldn't talk to marketing. We couldn't talk to promo. So it
6 days.
Totally, right? But like the way that the industry was started is that you would have a sales team, go out and make sure that your product was everywhere, like led by your marketing team, like putting together a go-to-market strategy. And then you would have your radio promo team take that sales data and they would go market to market in order to acquire audience. And that more opportunity.
Okay, again, there's a lot of great info in this, but I'm trying to get to like certain clips and certain things that, we could kind of latch on to. Let's see. Remember, this is a guy who was a former executive up at Spotify. He specifically said he curated New Music Friday for multiple weeks. And if you ever, that time it was a big way of how when people first got Spotify a couple years ago, they didn't know how to navigate. And people were really fresh off really radio still, even if you're young. And what does that mean? When everything is available, you need a guide, right? It's like a child. And, I don't have kids, but what I've heard about kids is that if you tell a kid they could have anything, they don't know what to pick. It's kind of like a woman. It's like, you bring a woman to a drive-thru, like y'all 7 cars behind. When you get there and it says, "Hey, welcome to Wendy's. How can I help you?" She's like, give me a second. You're like, bitch, what the fuck? They showed you 39 menus until we got it. How don't you know? Like, and then she'll say the same thing she gets every time. Oh, let me get a 10-piece nugget, and let me get like a small fry. You're like, bitch, you always get that. Like, why would you act? The reality is that a lot of people, when given choice, not only do they not know how to choose, they just choose the same thing. So in terms of being artist discovery, these platforms start to kind of take a radio-like aspect of, we'll tell you what's hot. We'll curate. We'll introduce you to new things. And that became the most prolific way of kind of, getting people more invested and staying more hours on the app, that these huge playlists began running the app. Rap Caviar, New Music Friday. People would just go to look at whatever playlist the charts were saying, and they would just keep playing those top 50 songs. So it became people, even though, remember the whole idea of getting to streaming was people like, yo, turn off the radio, pass me the aux. But the aux was your playlist. And then it was like, well, now your playlist or the amount of music you have is not just what you downloaded or bought on iTunes, is what you have on Spotify, which is everything, which then people start looking for some type of guide.
And you go back to, I keep going back to the early days of the music industry. And then again, like thinking about this Goldman Sachs, article in 2022 is, in the modern day, you don't need a record label to do the things that you used to need them to do. Right? You don't need them to put together a performing artist and a marketing campaign for you, because you're doing that anyway. And they recognize that, which is why the position towards, direct to consumer and e-commerce, because the idea, of what you traditionally
trust me, I never seen this
as a record label doesn't exist anymore.
Well, they're trying to
and this is there was an article on MBW as well with Spotify and the majors doing a deal. And there was something else there that speaks to what you're talking about, where Lucian says, it is essential that we work with strategic partners such as Spotify to enable Gen AI products within a thriving commercial landscape in which artists, songwriters, fans, music companies, and technology companies can all flourish. So what that essentially means to me from everything you're saying is we're going to unlock a bunch of capital.
Totally.
Money, revenue is going to come in. And you could say that as easy as saying Spotify, the whole idea or the conversation that Spotify has been capped in terms of users' growth in North America.
Okay. Again, I encourage you, a lot of y'all love this like super industry inside baseball stuff we talk about. I encourage you to watch the whole thing. We just have a shit ton of other topics that, even though we're rocking out for, like, we still got like five plus hours. So if you guys are rocking with me, please just chill out. I know we started a little bit slow. We got into a lot of things, but we have so much more to go. And if this was a 10-hour stream, I could watch like an hour of this with you, but we have a lot to get to. Okay, chat?
Got these people at the majors where like these are really, really challenging decisions and challenging deals because they're setting precedent.
Yeah.
You know, when they get these things done, they can't just like experiment with something and then go back or they're going to get crucified.
Right.
You know, with doing these things. So, you know, the people who are making these deals, again, like they're doing it in the best interest of the artist. And I think, again, like from Lucien's memo, like I think they're trying to walk both of these worlds where they don't want to be, you know, make the Napster mistake. You know, like what would the industry look like if they had gotten streaming deals done in 1999
Right.
and 2000 and hadn't lost 10 years?
Yeah.
You know, so I think that, you know, that's weighing on them a lot. You know, like we can't miss this opportunity, but at the same time, we have to protect our rights holders and, you know, our art, you know, and I can absolutely say that, you know, the people that are doing those deals, like there's an elevated level of care that I think that you get from like working directly with the artist that only happens from the manager. And
Now, I know it's a little bit convoluted. Remember, you got to watch the whole thing. I know some of y'all might be like, well, I don't care that much about the music business. How does this affect Young Boy? Why be better? Or they might be like, yo, listen, man, just tell us what this has to do with Nicki Minaj. I get it. I'm trying to like summarize some of this stuff to you. What he's kind of saying is it's kind of giving a prelude to what's eventually going to happen. Spotify at some point, you know, and they're managing these relationships kind of like he's saying a lot to say music labels these days are garbage. And artists should want to have a relationship with a place like Spotify or a DSP just directly. You don't need the label. The label used to pitch records, used to do this, used to do that. And so many things are now outside of their control or their influence that, yeah, you know, it's fucking worthless. And he's going to talk about independent artists real quick. Hopefully he touches on that. But we have two more things and we'll hop off of this topic.
Where does that put the independent artists? Because as you and I both know that, you know, the front lines, the artists, new artists, those deals aren't happening as much as they once used to.
yeah.
So where does that put the independent artists in?
Well, I mean, it's like,
When you say scary, what are you referring to?
well, I mean, it's scary in the sense that there's a lack of knowledge being passed, I think, right now, with the fact that a lot of the majors like have, you know, changed their business models.
Yeah.
You know, it's not to say that they're not, you know, interested in, you know, breaking artists and breaking hits, you know.
Oh, okay, I know what he's talking about. So essentially, what's now happening is that the labels, remember, they want more money. So anytime a company wants more money, this is usually how it goes. You try to produce more to get more money. You try to raise prices to get more money. Okay? You try to find new markets to sell to get more money. Well, remember, they're doing all this through Spotify. They are raising price. Spotify's pretty much in all the countries already. And music is being produced. They're uploading the most music they've ever uploaded to Spotify and other DSPs. So they're doing everything to increase how much money comes in. Yet the increase or the percentage increase is not enough. So what happens there? In any business, this is how it works. When you can't increase revenue anymore and you still want to look profitable, the next thing they do is they fire people. Amazon lays off 100,000 people. This company, we just talked about Block, that says they're firing 60 or 40% of their workforce. Their stock went up. Why? It looks more profitable. Most companies spend the most on, salaries for their workers, right? So payroll. Well, when it comes to the music business, they've done that. A lot of those old executives, say like Atlantic, they all got fired. It's like there's a lot of new kids on the block. You know, unless you're like one of the really necessary people, it's the first time in a really long time the industry has gotten rid of a lot of these older people that worked in the game that require these $1 million salaries, right? I don't think Kevin Lyles is employed anymore. Julie Greenwald, Mike Kaiser, they have a whole new look over there at Atlantic. They actually consolidated, which means they fired people and didn't get new people back. So they're saving money, which makes them look like they're making more money. So they're saving money. They fired executives. Okay, well, how else do you make it look like you're making more money in the music business without getting more money from the music? The next thing is not investing as so much. So the music business is a place where you usually invest in new music to get returns on the music that sells. Well, remember, they have something called a catalog. So if they invest less in new music and just rely on their catalog that they could definitely predict how much it's going to make, they're going to look more profitable. Most of these music companies are all traded on the stock market, which means profitability and profit margins matter to the investor. You look better and more more attractive to a prospective or current investor when you're showing bigger profit margins, quarter over quarter and year over year. So what they're doing now is that they're not spending on new artists. So new artists come in, they're telling these niggas, nigga, go do a fucking dance. Go do a fucking dance and get popping. We're not spending the bread. You know, like they used to give these guys big budgets. Hey, here's $500,000. Go do a promo tour. They're not doing that anymore. Yo, bro, your whole fucking budget to promote everything is $300,000. That's it. Take it or leave it. So promo budgets kaput. They're not spending on new music. Hey, you know, say an artist is like, hey, you know, everybody's expecting my next album. Hey, you know what I need? I need a Boy Wonder beat. Then I need a DJ Mustard beat. Then I need this. Then I need that. The label's going to say, bro, those beats are going to cost you $6 million. Bro, you got $60,000. Go on YouTube and find so-and-so type beats. Go on motherfucking BeatClick or some shit like that, nigga. Or BeatStars. Nigga, you're not getting a bunch of mustards and shit. Like, get the fuck out of here. Your budget is 60 grand, nigga. Not 6 million. 60 grand. Go figure it out. So they're not invested in new music anymore, right? So the new artists who are thinking, now we going to pop off. How, nigga? They're not spending money to promote your shit. They're not spending money to make your shit. They're not spending money to make your videos. Be like, yo, matter of fact, yo, I need a crazy video. You know they're looking at you and say, young boy takes $30, a pint of lean, and a goddamn Black and Mild to create 5 videos in his garage. Why the fuck would we give you $300,000 to do a fucking music video? Why the fuck would we do that? So there's no music video budget. There's no promotion budget. No budget to get great songs made with poppin' or current, you know, producers. Be like, yo, y'all need a Metro Boomin beat. If Young Metro don't trust you, nigga, you better go on YouTube and type in 21 Savage sounding beats and you rap on one of those, fuck nigga. That's it. That's it. So the music business is telling niggas, we done spending on you niggas for right now. And I think it's going to last like 2 years or so because there's going to be a bubble that pops there that people realize that it's kind of like what I say with AI. You could inflate revenue. And after a while, when the music industry, there's no new music for a while and the culture is like completely depleted, there's going to be something that goes on, right? We hope that this is going to be the start of this year because last year was definitely that. But it might manifest itself in 2027. But I hope you guys understand, right?
Like they were before. It's just that they recognize that it's a business, you know, and there's, you know, other ways that you can make money from that business. And, you know, streaming isn't always like the greatest when you're making the same as Rain Sounds, you know? So I think that you're seeing like a lot of people like trying to do the best that they can do, like as we're preparing for like whatever it is gonna be, you know, next. But for like an independent artist, and you know what I was trying to say with like the lack of knowledge is like TikTok happened at the same time as COVID.
Okay.
The music industry like turned upside down at the same time that like marketing workflows like weren't working anymore. So you had all of these bad practices that started to come to, you know, fruition, like reality. There is like tried and true, like proven workflows that do work, you know. The record labels gave up on music and algorithms like way too early because they had these revenue targets. They didn't have time to figure out like how to market effectively. So the answer was just, let's lay off the marketing people and just focus on e-commerce until Gen AI fixes itself, right? Which means that like for an independent artist that is on its own, the idea that you're going to go sign a record deal and the label's going to come in and develop you and, you're going to be Olivia Rodrigo is like pretty unlikely, right? Like the kind of model now is you come in and you build yourself up and, once you're earning money and you've got a brand like starting to build around you, like then let's work together and, we'll be there for you.
Yeah.
But, I think they're being very clear about the fact that they can't provide services in the same way that they used to.
Mm-hmm.
And that leaves an independent artist with, not very many options, in terms of like trying to have a successful career unless you find a great manager, like somebody like you who's going to come in and say like, this is how you do it. Mm-hmm. Right. Like otherwise, you're going and you're, doing a distribution deal, maybe you're getting like a little bit of marketing, from that. You don't know what to do with it. Right. Everybody else is spending money on TikTok. So you should spend money on TikTok too.
Right.
The best practice is to spend pre-release, so by the time that your song comes out on commercial platforms, like you're out of money, and then you're just in traffic, stuck with everybody else, like hoping that you're going to go viral on TikTok to resurrect your career.
Right.
And that's not a very hopeful, I think, opportunity for an independent artist. Now, that's not to say that, there's a lot of incredible tools that are being built, that allow, independent artists, management, companies to do things with AI that you don't need like a big record label anymore.
Well, what are some of those tools? And can we talk about
all right. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. I think, there's a lot of things there. Again, I hope you guys do watch all of this if you do care about this type of stuff. The last thing on the music industry before I get off, and I feel like we've been talking a lot about business stuff, right? Don't you worry, we got the bullshit for you, so just hang in there. Love you all. This just came across